We struggle when it comes to understanding earthly relationship and earthly family. I see it happen so often. I grew up in a church setting where it was very common for earthly family to completely outweigh biblical truth. Many people confuse earthly family relationships with a heavenly one. They find their contentment in their family apart from the Lord. Oftentimes I'll see it in young people growing up where children will believe themselves to be in God's family simply because their parents are. We live in a nation that claims 70+% to be born again believers, followers of Jesus Christ. And oftentimes when I ask someone, especially a young person, well, what makes you believe that you're a Christian? Well, I'm not a Buddhist. Oftentimes, I don't know if you realize this, but the Islamic view is that all of Americans are Christians and that you're born that way. Now, we know that to be a false view, but it's so crept in so easily into the church where the same view kind of comes forth. You were raised in the church, you grew up in the church, you do some moral good things, you do these things as best you can, and man, it's good. That's not true. Jesus' own family needed to be redeemed. At this point in their life, growing up with the Messiah in their home, they were not yet believers. And we need to recognize this. On the flip side of that, parents will believe their children to be in God's family simply because they are members in good standing in their family. Families will elevate earthly relationships to greater importance than heavenly ones. Children's earthly pursuits and futures will take precedence and priority over heavenly ones. Sports and academics will become the focus with little time for things of the Lord. You know, it's amazing to me when a parent focuses on the eternal realities of their children, how much the rest of Christianity oftentimes will call them radical, will not understand why they don't let them sow their wild oats and go their own way, because that's the natural course. Why they would want to protect their children from sin and the things that are there. Biological family pursuits will overshadow heavenly ones. Holidays are for family only. It's amazing how many believers will have unbelieving family come to town and the first thing they sacrifice is their obedience to the Lord. Which, by the way, just confirms to the unbelievers who come to visit how unimportant Jesus really is. Or this one. Because they are biological family, I have to ignore the ways in which they dishonor the Lord. As one pastor puts it, many today believe that blood is thicker than theology. Now, it's hard to teach this because the sermon is a one-sided conversation. And to try and make clear both aspects where we don't want to criticize one to the point of destruction, but do want to criticize that which is bad about it. I want to be clear. I am not advocating that you separate from your family. But I am certainly advocating that you not separate from Jesus and His commands in order to maintain your family. That's idolatry. It's very clear. You, as some examples, taking on a young couple from your church family or an older couple at the holidays who don't have family in the area may mean others in your biologically family do not want to have you over. It might mean struggle or difficulty at the time, at the holiday season. To be clear, you loving Jesus the most may mean that others are uncomfortable around you. It might disrupt your Thanksgiving. It might disrupt your Christmas. It might make some difficulties. If you're going to love Jesus the most, it may cause those. But it also may mean that those unbelievers in your family will be drawn to this Jesus who obviously means so much to you. I think that the answer to this is the answer to so many questions that I'm asked so many times. In other words, people ask me all the time, well, what do I do in this situation? How do I handle this? What do I say? I think the answer comes down to a very simple statement. Love Jesus the most. Love Jesus the most. That's what He's calling us to. That's what He's continually putting before us. Love Jesus the most. in everything that you are. Love him more than your business. Love him more than your girlfriend. Love him more than your boyfriend. Love him more than your wife. Love him more than your children. Love nothing else more than those things, but love Jesus more than those things. Love Jesus the most, because he is the most worthy. Because he has given the most for you. Because the gospel makes clear that those who are redeemed, who are reconciled, who have relationship and have received forgiveness, those are the ones who are to love Jesus the most.